a heartbreaker for Full Sense whenever Blacklist gets a single game in this tournament, or rather in this game.
Oh, and then we're immediately jumping into the matchup for the day. Blacklist International, those Sable Eye, huge respect once again, and this is one of the pocket picks of Blacklist International, if you may, just because of how it has been constantly used by Blacklist International time and time again, reaching to a couple of wins in the respective matchup, just because of how obnoxious it is in Teoskyra wins.
Yeah, and Blacklist International, they have a wide Pokemon pool to be specific. So no matter who you ban, yes, you have someone that you have to respect, but no matter who you ban, they still have a lot of Pokemons on their pocket. And the same thing goes for ONIC. To be specific, AXQ is one of the most interesting attackers that I have been seeing in game. He's actually the only one that, sticks on comfort, because he has been using a lot of Venusaur lately into the tournament. But same thing goes for our fellow members in Blacklist International.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry. And then for the side of ONIC Rise, going for the Psyduck, and then you also have the Miraidon and the Blastoise getting locked in here. And so far, they're still lacking on that Speedsters, they're still lacking on that form. So expectedly, it could possibly be the likes of the Leafeon, the likes of Dodrio could also go through if it's not banned, which it is by ONIC Rise themselves. So really, the options are going to be something of similar nature that can still deal damage, that's relatively mobile, that could rotate on top lane and the bottom lane quite quickly. And Greninja is one of those options that we have seen, but Absol gonna get locked in instead.
Yeah, and Absol is actually very, reliable when it comes to early game potential. Knowing that it could squish out a lot of damage in those critical hits. But might I tell you, there isn't actually someone that you could actually focus on your attention as an Absol unless Dream picks someone, and that's going to be Inteleon. One of his favorites Pokemon, by the way. If you follow Dream, he has been actually streaming and using a lot of Inteleon. So definitely, this is one of his pocket picks, and I'd love to see this in the competitive scene, because I think this is the first time, or not the first time, once in a while that Dream uses this Inteleon in the competitive scene.
Yeah, and I think like Blacklist International generally, what they could do here is to heavily rely on the likes of Sant and Draft in terms of damage as well, lands to close down the distance. Overall, their draft composition is generally well balanced. And for the side of ONIC Rise, going for the Absol is a coin flip. It always is. It's like you have the possibility of steamrolling down into the early game, have huge potential and huge opportunities to give out a massive amounts of damage in the early phase of the matchup. But once you do not utilize that capability of the Absol into that early game, you're not really looking that good in mid game, late game.
Yeah, and for sure that Absol is going to be playing a high risk, high reward, double-edged sword to be specific. So sometimes it might hit you, sometimes it's going to hit your opponent. So we don't know what's going to happen here. But to be fair, they do have the Mimikyu for Blacklist International. And if this Mimikyu could actually shut down this Absol later on, definitely that's one thing that you would love to see if you're a fan of Blacklist International. It's the Absol getting shut down immediately, and of course, not being able to scale up or being behind in terms of XP.
Yeah. So now we'll see, as like Blacklist International and ONIC Rise, this will be a relatively slow game for both sides here, except for ONIC Rise. They can start to wrap up pretty early on with that Absol in mind, but Blacklist International can slowly follow through as well into the middle of the game. But Ryu, quite over aggressive and overextending there, just going in and out. Ooh, oh my!
Wow!
Just playing their opponents down into the bottom side here. Ryu, what are you doing?
You see, that's the thing. If you have a scoring item on your pocket, definitely would love to outplay your opponents as early as you can, because you're not going to be losing a lot when you get taken down into the early stages of the game. And your goal is to disrupt, of course, the wild Pokemons of your opponent, and at the same time, score 2 to 3 times as much as you can. And that's actually a nice ambush coming in from Sam all the way into the top path. Taking down 1 could potentially take down 3, coming in from their team, but that's not going to be quite enough damage still for their team.
And this is what we mentioned a while ago, like play on to Sen, play on to Inteleon for the side of Blacklist International. Response though coming in from Absol, jumping right through very quickly as well, gaining a couple of points, and Sion is now back at it, going for the chase onto Eldegoss. Blacklist International will have the double KO going to the side of Absol on track.
Yeah, that's actually a great trade coming in from ONIC Rise, making sure that they catch up little by little. But right now, Dramp is actually putting a lot of pressure still. See, this is the good thing with an Inteleon into the early stages. You can actually lessen down the defense of your opponent and potentially deploy a lot of damage by just using the water gun coming in. So that's actually a great composition and a great advantage as well if you're still a Drizzly. But on the other side of the map, that's going to be Ryu taken down immediately. War Turtle already obtained and available for ONIC Rise.
Now for Blacklist International, once again, just going back at it, is that this game is pretty much going to be quite a bit slower than what we have seen over the past few series and over the past few games, except for ONIC Rise that wants to start to ramp things up. However, if that occurs, like a 4v2 situation on top side of the map, it's definitely going to get that quicker for Blacklist International here, but generally speaking, it's not going to be as fast-paced as we could expect. Now, looking at ONIC Rise, it's Absol that is really on a timer. It really wants to capitalize that early game advantage, but so far I'm not seeing it.
We're not seeing it actually, despite being level 8, quite behind compared to the Serial Edge here from Blacklist International. And we're just going to be waiting for the snipe shot here to hit it, but not going to be quite available yet, and that is going to be the Midnight Splash in order to secure that Regi's objective. Additional regen coming in from them, but you know, their HP are full, so I don't quite see the maximum value yet. But right now, they're going to focus their attention into this team battle. Fel Stinger is going to be there for Drem in order to relocate himself, but the snipe shots are not connecting yet. He's way too advanced into the map. The support was there actually coming in from his teammates. Revenant Red was popped off, but Zoe's not yet done here. Still up and going, trying to support his teammates.
Yeah, Blacklist International unfortunately lost that team fight overall, if we're going to think about it, because they lost a couple of players. It's a couple of KOs coming through for ONIC Rise, and then ONIC Rise was able to go in for those defense in tier 1 bottom lane. But overall, in the general perspective of things, Blacklist International is on a really good state. 112 points already coming down into the tier 1 goals on top side of the map is massive. And once again, these type of plays coming in from Lance, coming in from Sarah Ledge as well, just going in looking for those KOs time and time again is massive for the team.
Yeah, very massive indeed. And right now, Midnight Splash available once again, but not going to be hitting someone. Very unfortunate for ONIC Rise, as they're going to be expending another set of Unite move here. And Blacklist International really does have a great kit waiting on their pocket all the way into the bottom side. But Azure Spy Vision is going to reveal the information all the way into the tall grass. Iluna cannot defend his on his own. Surf gonna be commencing even further, but that Umbreon coming in from Blacklist International will be overextending a little bit here. That's why they have to look forward to, they have to watch out on this one. Snipe shots being deployed, that's gonna deal a lot of damage, and still, they have to hunt him down. ONIC Rise needs to be very careful of Trent.
Yeah, the Shadow Sneak is there as well, coming from land. Potential to go in for the backside. You have Umbreon now going through zoning capabilities. Reggie Steel down low already. Who's gonna take it down? It's Blastoise with a Hydro Typhoon.
Yes, but the full power Sai as well was popped off by ONIC Rise, and right now they're leading the charge, taking down the Serial Edge. They can potentially take down Lance in this situation, but look at the protection coming in from the Umbreon of Blacklist International. Really doing the works of wonders, but on the top side, that's going to be a 15-point conversion coming in from their Absol.
Massive stuff coming in from ONIC Rise. It may not have huge amounts of damage or huge amounts of impacts from what we have seen so far, but those points are huge with 50 points. But Blacklist International still keeping forth their advantage with a 20-point lead thus far into this matchup. Regielike is still open. Blacklist International could definitely take it down, put that extra pressure on top side of the map against ONIC Rise.
And right now they're going to be starting things up. This is going to be quick because they have two all-rounders that could dish out a lot of damage and potentially set this one up. as a diversion play, and they could actually rotate all the way to the bottom path if they want to. But right now, it's getting critical as it could be, so they're gonna force their way for that Regilite to land right now. And the moment that someone defends it, they're gonna be rotating all the way into the bottom path.
We'll see as Mimikyu goes in for the Shadow Sneak once again. What a KO coming from Blacklist International. That's getting chased down, but Rhydon is gonna get KO'd immediately by Ledge. Hydro Typhoon coming down into the bottom side, 1v3.
Alright, but who's leading the charge? That's gonna be it. Dremt once again doing the snipe shots on his favorite, trying to hide all the way into the tall grass. But right now, Iluna's left alone to defend things up. They haven't been taking down this goal zone yet and again, but still looking good for Blacklist International in total control in terms of this game.
Yeah, Blacklist International playing it a bit safer for now in the bottom side of the map. That Regilite dealt huge amounts of points for Blacklist International, getting that tier 2 goal zone. So right now, Blacklist is in a really good state. We're going to think about it on how they are receiving huge amounts of advantage early on to the matchup or mid-game of the matchup.
And we're going to be seeing things if that is going to be the case here. But right now, a lot of them are waiting for to start the objective. To just eyeing on the prize, but I feel like this is going to be a playing of tag once again, because as you can see, ONIC Rise repositioned immediately all the way into the Rayquaza, so potentially they might be eyeing on the prize here because they have to catch up in terms of scoring.
Yeah, now Blacklist International finding their position. Rayquaza is now up in 5 seconds remaining. ONIC Rise holding their position on top side of the map, actually going for it. It's Mimikyu in danger already. Play with me going to be the end of him as Blacklist International trying to go away. Ryu zoning away their opponents as well with a Unite move in the backside. But Ledge secures the Rayquaza.
I've seen this before. This is Blacklist International strategy. They cooked this once and for all and manifested it in the competitive scene. They were just about to bait lands a while ago, all the way into the upper part of the central area. And they actually invested a lot of Unite moves together with the Revenant Rend in order to secure that Rayquaza once and for all. And right now, they just have to go back into their base and defend things down in their goal zone.
Blacklist International, a massive win, a massive to start things off here in this series. Because remember, the thing is, actually, I believe Blacklist International, if they lose against ONIC Rise in a 2-0 sweep, I think one of their opponents is going to have that opportunity to secure the top 8 position or have a higher ranking. But now Blacklist International took one game away from that. And that is a really good start for them.
Yes, and that would be it. Blacklist International closed the door for Full Sense as they will be securing their spot into the playoffs. And if they do win this series up against ONIC Rise, they would be positioned as the 7th seeded team in this tournament. And this is just very unfortunate for Full Sense.
Now Blacklist International, I mean, at this point, they're really looking sleek. ONIC Rise, this is what we mentioned a while ago, right? That their competition is a bit of that coin flip. They went for the Absol. They're going in for that early game prowess that Absol innately has in terms of that power. But the thing is, we also mentioned this and we also discussed this during the draft that, you know what, if Absol is not able to capitalize and utilize that strength in the early game, it's not going to look good. And that is exactly what happened here.
Yes, and I'm loving what I'm seeing right now. This is Blacklist International showing off their prowess. But much to tell you, ONIC Rise was actually doing well, but I think they need to find a better replacement out of that Absol. You see, Absol is really effective, but again, if you are getting behind already, and if you are on an equal footing with your opponent, definitely Absol is not one of the best decisions or best Pokemon that you could have on your lineup.
So it all boils down into what kind of strategy you want to play out and what kind of composition you want. And so far, we're not seeing a Dodrio ban. So this is something that Blacklist International, or rather ONIC Rise rather, could go for. I was reading like the names at the bottom. I was like, double Blacklist International?
Oh yeah, what? Apologies for that one, apologies, but ONIC is at the purple side. We're going to be having Blacklist International all the way into the orange side, and definitely Blastoise was retained, but Rhydon as well, but they got Cereal Edge right now in replacement for the Psyduck. For now at least. But on the other hand, they got the Cereal Edge away from Blacklist International, so that's going to be the Mimikyu and the Umbreon prioritization. And in exchange for that Cereal Edge, they're going to be sticking with the Slowbro, and of course replacing their central laner by a Leafeon.
For sure. So, yeah. Thus far, it's looking really good. Blacklist, or well, rather, ONIC in that central key for ONIC Rise at this point in time. This is one of the adjustments that we've mentioned and we talked about. For Blacklist International, on the other hand, I think they went in for a bit more of that tanking, and a bit more defensive capable lineup. However, the caveat is there's no support.
No one could actually go for it. Actually, there's a debuff as well, because this Umbreon could actually act as a supporter if you want to Infinity, because might to tell you that they have the debuff as well coming in from your moveset. So definitely that's actually a factor as well by Blacklist International on why they decided to have this double defender setup. Because if you have Snarl, definitely you could actually debuff your opponents, specifically in attack and SP attack, by as much as 3%. So that's actually a huge factor as well, knowing that the lineup of ONIC Rise is really really explosive in terms of damage by having that Cereal Edge, by having that specific lineup of theirs. They also have their Serena and Rhydon. So this Umbreon would actually good if they actually utilize Foul Play and Snarl that could actually go in and out, and at the same time do the damage or do the debuff on your opponent.
So that's something that we could expect down the road for game number 2. Blacklist International, they're currently all so 1 game away, 1 win away. This is going to be a lock-in for them. They're able to really just secure the series overall for themselves, which is amazing stuff. But the thing is, they're still up against one of the best teams in Southeast Asia right now. They're still up against ONIC Rise. So really putting your best foot forward rather, and playing your best coming down into the second game, and not really being overconfident is still something that's very crucial for any of these teams in the perspective Pokemon Unite Asia Champions League. It's not really just targeting like Blacklist International. Every single one of these teams really have to put out their best.
Really do have to put out their best, because this is the best is yet to come once and for all. Again, ONIC Rise and Blacklist International, we're just waiting for the game to start itself. But of course, make sure to scan the QR code already. Don't miss your chance for our giveaway for today's live stream, because we're going to be closing our forms later on before the match 5 starts. So make sure to get the operation in. And of course, let's hear our community's voice here on our sheet. And Rebel's actually here is saying that Paper Rex will be the champions this year. Mark my words. I love the confidence coming in from Rebels.
And there is a potential, right? There is potential. Paper Rex right now is a very, very strong team. Although there's a lot of struggles, there will be a lot of hindrances for that objective to happen, for that top 1 position. Because if we're gonna think about it, right? You still have the former champions. You have Luminosity Gaming still up there. You have Team CHR and Utopia already securing their spots onto the finals here in ACL. And then you also have like Japan still waiting for their champions and their positions as well here in the tournament. So there's a lot of hindrances, but for sure, like Paper X is one of the best right now in Southeast Asia.
Yeah. And definitely could be a huge strength on any other teams. And the chances of Paper Rex getting that final spot all the way to Japan is really high compared to other teams, because number 1, they're proven to be one of the strongest in terms of the rankings right now. And number 2, they have proven themselves into the world many times.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what the difference maker would be. But this time around, we're going back into the game here. Blacklist International, once again, currently on match point. 1 win away, and they will secure the series for themselves. But from what has occurred over the past few games today here in day 6, I think I'm expecting another reverse sweep.
I'm not gonna be surprised if ONIC Rise gets game number 2.
Right.
But I'll be surprised if Blacklist International gets game number 3 at least. If that will be the scenario. But right now, Sent with a quick turn of events takes down a knockout out of himself. So a little bit in a bit of a trouble here, but great escape with a eject button.
Yeah. Blacklist International. In terms of that strength in the early game, they have it, right? They have the Leafeon. They have that strength of like having that early game rotations. That's something that Blacklist International could do alongside Umbreon. For the side of ONIC Rise, though, in mid game, late game, that is where they start to ramp up. You have the Unite move off the Hydro Typhoon coming from Blastoise. You have the Miraidon that really scales very well. And Ledge and Serena is there as well in the same composition. So this is something that ONIC Rise will bank on. It's pretty much going to be on that latter part of the matchup wherein Rayquaza will be their target and will be one of the positions.
Oh my god. Did you see that? He was blocking the Citrus Berry. I love that move coming in from Ryu in order for him to secure it and not let his opponents take it away. But right now, Drem, nice spell Stinger to bounce back at the other side of the wall, rather. And Ryu is going to be forcing his way back all the way to the tall grass, and this is just phenomenal fundamentals coming in from Blacklist International. And right now, they're going to take down Illuna out of the picture.
Yeah, and Blacklist International once again gets under the KO, going in for the dunk in the tier 1 gold zone, but Ryu in danger. Going for the check button, AXQ.
Wow. That's actually a great move coming in for Blacklist, making sure that ONIC Rise is going to expand a lot of utilities coming in on their favor. And look at that. This is just Ryu having a total control, toying with ONIC Rise, but he gets shut down immediately by AXQ, as that charge beam would be enough. But all of the members of Blacklist International are scaling slowly but surely.
Yeah, Blacklist International, those damages starting to hurt there, coming from Inteleon, snipe shots from Dream. And so far, ONIC Rise has still yet to go in for a couple of dunks and have yet to still take those KOs. And so far, Blacklist International, really, really amazing stuff on what they're doing, sustaining here in the early game. But as soon as I said it, Mimikyu goes down on the hands of Serena alongside the Umbreon.
Ryu trying to stack up those goals, but not going to be quite enough. But is a little bit of a pinch here. 3 members coming in from ONIC Rise, snipe shot. Gonna be hitting Zoe, but I'm gonna be converting the KO instead. But I love how Blacklist International is actually trying to trade off the objectives, but Cell won't let that happen very easy, but they still managed to land the last hit. But right now, that's gonna be a trading system happening here.
Blacklist International is just getting away with a lot of these maneuvers and risky plays for some reason. Like this, like Ryu's just going back into their opponents' lanes, but it doesn't matter. Like, he's sustaining himself so much. But Blacklist International might just be the end of it, with ONIC Rise just going in for the 4-man rotation in the bottom lane. Slowbro isolated.
Isolated indeed, but they get the KO here at the side of ONIC Rise. But Drem is left alone. Ooh! And Cell takes down the knockout here. That's all gonna be left to Ryu to defend this gold zone. But I feel like ONIC Rise doesn't have to overextend or overcommit into this one unless they do have a lot of members that could actually take him down. But the response is actually available already coming in from Blacklist International. Electro Drift, not gonna be quite enough still, but the Scald not hitting as well from Su.
Yeah, Blacklist International from kind of a 20-point lead. ONIC Rise came back with a tier 1 gold zone being brought down in top side of the map. Umbreon going in with that Unite move, but so far no follow-up. ONIC Rise dominates with a double KO.
Yeah, double KO indeed, and right now we are seeing ONIC Rise being able to reverse dominate this game. Skull not gonna be on time to deny the goal of Zell, and that is gonna be it. Another goal zone coming in at the side of ONIC Rise, and they do have the rings unbound as well in order to have a faster phasing and eliminating the Leafeon coming in from Scent.
Oh, that's really unfortunate. Scent now in danger, being chased out by Serena into the backside, trying to maneuver around the map here, but not gonna be enough. ONIC Rise gets pounced, and that will be under KO.
And right now, they're waiting for the objectives to spawn once again. Ryu forcing his way, score a little goals to be specific. Gonna be foul playing and Snarl back into the goal zone immediately. Hyperspace hole activated immediately. But I love how ONIC Rise being able to apply the pressure on both objectives. Just imagine that Blastoise as well is waiting at the tall grass all the way to the top path. And there's just no room for Blacklist International to get it.
Yeah. Now you have Blacklist International. They still have to find anything in the middle of the game, and this is what we mentioned a while ago, right? In terms of ONIC Rise, they have to just commit into a single thread of composition. If they want to go late game, go late game. If they want to go early game, go early game. And so far, ONIC Rise committed onto that mid game, late game type of situation, mid game, late game composition, and so far it's working for them. Really, really good.
Really good indeed. But right now, Regieleki is going to be marching in. Blacklist International successfully takes hit, and we're going to be waiting for the snipe shots to land even further. But Cell applying the pressure here up against Blacklist International despite the debuffs happening. Electro Drift is going to land. Emerald 2-step was expended as well. But right now, one member was only taken down at the side of ONIC Rise, and Blacklist International is really losing in terms of quantity.
Now, Blacklist International, you can't do the same thing that he's done coming down into the game. And it's a bit unfortunate if you're going to think about it, that those early game pressures or early game aggression that he was doing just gave in a lot of those points, a lot of experience going to the side of ONIC Rise. Blacklist International, 170 point deficit in 3-minute mark, so they definitely have to get those Rayquaza in 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, for sure. And what they really need to have is the Azure Spy Vision later on Tremp, because that's going to be the main key factor. You have to reveal their position. You have to reveal tall grasses in order for you to have a better opportunity to eliminate your opponents. But right now, they're just waiting, testing the waters here. They know that ONIC Rise is positioned somewhere all the way into the top path, and they want to knock out as much people as they can.
And the Regirock is up. ONIC Rise. I was expecting more for them to actually go in for the objective. Just gain an extra buff, and there you go.
Yeah, there you go. And 15 seconds on the clock. They could actually take it. Calculated well indeed in order for them to get the SP def and defense as well during the fight in Rayquaza. So this is going to be very tough for Blacklist International. They would have to rely on Drem, who has the snipe shots, who could actually or potentially steal the Rayquaza. But look, it's going to be starting it. It's going to be Blacklist International taking down the Hoopa. There's no hyperspace hold immediately. Azure Spy Vision going to be revealing the location of the tall grasses. But look at that Electro Drift. Going to be dealing a lot of damage. Going to be the Hydro Typhoon that was sent out and was taken down by Blacklist International. But right now, Rayquaza is on its 1/3 HP only. ONIC Rise controlling the game. But Leafeon, it's still up. And he gets Rayquaza once and for all. Blacklist International needs to force his way all the way to the goal zone. But there's not enough men who can do it for their team.
Yeah, there's not enough time as well. Like Blacklist International, they may have gotten the Rayquaza buff, but the thing is, it's only Sent who has it in his hands. And right now, it's ONIC Rise who wants to deny the Rayquaza buff away from Blacklist International as Cell's trying to chase him down. Not going to be enough. Miraidon going to the backside though, having to chase down the Leafeon. No more Rayquaza buff. ACU in danger as they get chased down. Blacklist International still have yet to take the advantage for themselves, as right now, ONIC Rise is all about playing defense.
They just have to eliminate the Cyril Edge and take down the goal into the bottom path. That is what they need. It has to be Lance, it has to be Ryu, any single members of them, and they have an ample space, and yes, they got it immediately, but not gonna be quite enough yet, and there it goes. They just have to back away, but that Hoopa was able to trade it off, and the Cyril Edge as well is gonna hit another 100, and Blacklist International is running out of time, and look at those multiple damages coming in. Slow Beam is gonna be there, but there was a surf all the way behind of Blacklist International, and they only have 10 seconds to shoot it down, and they're falling one by one. Blacklist International, despite getting the objective, not gonna be securing the victory in this game.
What a play from ONIC Rise. That Hoopa just swept in like a ninja on top side of the map there, dunking a couple of points like thief in the night. Absolute insane plays from ONIC Rise, and once again, we're back at Game 3.
I'm not surprised that ONIC Rise got the victory here, but I'm gonna be very surprised if Blacklist International would get this series once and for all. But I do love the overall impact coming in from Dremt and Scent in Blacklist International, but I do feel like that Hoopa was a main priority.
Precise selection this time around.
And right now, we're gonna be seeing a lot of action still. This is the last day of group stage, ladies and gentlemen. You are really on heated battles. You get to witness this, and of course, ONIC Rise would have to respect that Sableye once again coming in from Blacklist International. We're not gonna be seeing that. So, not surprised, but Darkrai as well, banned here by Blacklist International. And by the way, we haven't seen Darkrai yet, at least for this day, despite not being banned.
Right? I'm curious. I'm curious, like what the selections are going to be. But so Blacklist International, immediate denial of the Sarah Ledge, picking it up for themselves instead. But Urshifu's going to be the answer back for ONIC Rise.
Yeah, quite understandable, because that Cyrilage really did play a lot of role up against ONIC Rise, because it's Cyrilage that we are talking about, and definitely Cyrilage is one of the most reliable I would say, all-rounders in the game. So definitely it has an early game it is really good in early game, can deal a lot of damage, has a mobility, definitely a full package.
For sure. And now for the Blacklist International, pretty much having quite a bit of stacked composition as well. Having a Mimikyu as well gives them a bit of damage. Expectedly, if they're going to lock in onto the Crustle and also Mr. Mime, this will be kind of a bit of a Shadow Sneak, and then that Shadow Claw potential for a Lance, or even a Trick Room as well. So that's something to look forward to. For ONIC Rise, actually very balanced as well. So these two comps are very valid.
Yeah, very valid. And here's the thing. I love the Mr. Mime pick here by Blacklist International, because if we're going to be taking a look at it, actually two members from ONIC Rise would have to get closer to you. And that's it. That's the answer back. Because they're the main damage dealer, Cell and Eeyore to be specific, they are the main damage dealers, and it's only Mr. Mime that could actually stop them down on their track with Barrier, or with the Showtime, their Unite move itself.
Yeah, for sure. So now Blacklist International and ONIC Rise. I'm not really because the thing is, like, these two compositions are pretty much like well balanced. We're not really taking like a very strong reliance onto the game or mid game or even late game for any of these two teams. So it's going to be a difficult matchup, but ONIC Rise, just their performance in game number 2 was just phenomenal. They're able to keep up and control like Blacklist International, what Blacklist International was doing. And I think at this point, like, Blacklist cannot do what they did in the early game of just going very, very aggressive without any trade-offs.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of fact execution. But Blacklist International really does have an edge here because of their defender and their supporter that they have. I mean, they have the Rubble Rouser from the Crustle, they have the Showtime, who definitely, do a lot of crowd controls up against ONIC Rise. Despite ONIC Rise, it could be a double-edged sword right now, because just imagine if there's going to be Rings and Bound and there's a Rubble Rouser and Showtime waiting for you. Definitely quite the opposite. Instead of being a responsive team, definitely you would respond in a negative way.
For sure. And now ONIC Rise, Blacklist International, in terms of this early game, we're not really going to see that big explosive matchups. There's not any single one of these that's on a timer compared to like having the absolute game number 1 for the side of ONIC Rise. And so far, it's a Blacklist International. And ONIC Rise having a bit of that stalemate all throughout this first couple of minutes, if I may.
Yeah. And that is what we expect. But right now, 850, that's going to be the Swablu's and Altaria. Sand charging in. I love the concept. X attack to deal much more damage. And they swept a knockout, as well as the wild Pokemons all the way into their path. Great execution.
Yeah, the confusion onto the wall, and then the barrier to deny any movements from ONIC Rise. That was... So, if ever, like, Mr. Mime for Blacklist International definitely work things out here. but ONIC Rise still able to have that capability down the road. They still have that Blastoise, which takes a bit of time for those Hydro Typhoon.
Ooh, Mega Evolve AXQ is in a bit of a trouble here. Charge Beam gonna be hitting. Oh, Rock Tomb is gonna be enough to take down the knockout. Illuna cannot evolve even further. He needs more wild Pokemons and he needs to score. But unfortunately, the spacing won't be given by Ryu. Oh, but managed to get the wild Pokemon instead.
Yeah. And now it is Scent who's able to really get the wild Pokemon on top side of the map. You have Dreamt as well going to the backside. There's a lot of Pokemon here. Sant going through into the backside.
Oh, and Cell was pinched down by the light screen immediately. Great execution once again from the Mr. Mime for Susu. But look at that, Serena all the way into the bottom side of the bottom map. Indeed, so they're just waiting for a great opportunity to ambush 5 members to be specific. But right now they're going to be rotating back all the way to the top path and they're trying to eliminate Lance as much as they could.
Yeah. Now ONIC Rise going for it. Altaris and Swab who's now being contested. Blacklist International still holding her fort. They're not going very aggressive, and this is what we mentioned a while ago. Blacklist International cannot afford to be as aggressive as they did in game number 2.
Yes, and that's going to be the barrier and the confusion moveset coming in from Susu. That is what we expected. Block the pathway of your opponents as much as you can. And when you have the showtime, it's time for you to go in. But right now, you have to go in as well. Right, getting a lot of damage! What is that? Triple simultaneous knockout coming in from Sen. That has to be the play of the day here in PUACL.
That Revenant Ren was just picture perfect. It came right straight through into 3 people and 3 opponents from ONIC Rise, and also the objective being taken down. Now the Regil like it being started down by ONIC Rise, and Blacklist International knows with the Trick Room as well. Without Shadow, Claw, Hoopa in danger, a bit isolated as well, coming back with a hyperspace hole, and Regil like it will be secured.
And wow, what a barrier setup coming in here from Susu, making sure that their opponents are gonna get pinched down immediately, and they have it. They made it work. Knockout plus a barrier, quite efficient here coming in from Blacklist International. And ONIC Rise managed to score their first goal of the game, so potentially this is gonna be an overcap on the top path, but still looking good at the hands of Blacklist International.
Yeah, it could possibly be. I was expecting it could 30-point overcap, but I'm not sure why it did fall down. But there we go. ONIC Rise will lose their tier 1 gold zone on top side of the map. You have Crystal defending in the bottom side though. Why is Illuna there?
Oh, Illuna? Hello? Well, yeah. Going back to what you've been asking into the 30-point overcap. I feel like the hardened engine, that was actually the special skill of Merlida, really did activate it. Wherein you're gonna be expending some of your AO's energy in exchange for your damage. I feel like that is one of the cases wherein why the AO's energy was gone and the overcap didn't happen a while ago. So you know, it's just one of the Miraidon things and Beauty Y things as well. Like, you lose your AO's energies out of nowhere. But great escape coming in from Cell after being pinched down by Susu. But the rotation will be happening anytime soon as they're going to be fighting it all out for their objective into the bottom side.
Yeah. Now you have the Reggie bottom, you have the Reggie Steel coming right through. ONIC Rise going to start things up. Blacklist International, Rock Tomb onto Illuna, isolated already with Serve coming back and to retreat. The Hydro Typhoon is phenomenal.
Phenomenal indeed, but right now Cell is pinched out all the way into the middle of Ryu and the other members of Blacklist International, and that is going to be a knockout still coming in from the Zero Ledge, but that Meteor White is not going to be hitting the objective itself as that Urshifu is going to be landing it. The Showtime is going to be there, incapacitated all the other members of ONIC Rise, and Susu is just roaming around, doing the works of wonders, trying to go and set up the barrier and confusion, but not going to be quite enough for them to take out the knockouts. But on the other side, that's going to be Ryu buying a lot of time for ONIC Rise not to score a goal. Charge Beam is going to be there all the way from behind, but there is not enough front line, and Dram has to back off immediately and save up his HP.
Now the Regieleki is open. That will be something that Blacklist International has to go. Well, ONIC Rise has to go in for the resets for now, but I think that's enough time for them to be able to come through and to contest the Regieleki on top side of the map. Blacklist International hovering going towards the top side. You have the Hoopa running through. There's no Unite move for Hoopa. Nevertheless, he's able to really go in and get those information, but Regieleki will be free for Blacklist International.
Oh yeah, and that Shadow Claw's very quick from lands by having the Trick Room. So right now, that's going to be the diversion play here coming in from Blacklist International. But there is no wild Pokemons available into their forest, so they just have to get positions here, wait for someone to overextend, and actually go for the knockouts. That is going to be the main game plan here so far.
Yeah, for sure. Now you have the elevator as well. No more tier 1 gold zones left for Black, or well, rather for ONIC Rise. So Blacklist International, in the 50 seconds before the Rayquaza comes up, it's all about playing those defense and not getting or not giving any values for ONIC Rise. Because if you're looking at the XP difference, I think it's pretty much even nevertheless. Like Serena is already level 14 across the board. Blacklist International averages is level 13. Same goes with ONIC Rise. So I think at this stage, like both these teams really just has to pour in that good position and good amount of execution and damage in the Rayquaza fight now.
Oh, I've seen this in game number 1, Infinity. I've seen this before, and they have to set up the distance up against ONIC Rise for them to invest a lot of Unite moves towards Rayquaza, but I feel like that's not going to be the case as of now. But Illuna is already pinched down. Showtime was pop up at the very early stage, but still, that's going to be very rewarding here for Blacklist International. Infinite Cybern is going to be popped up as well, but not going to be quite enough the response or the results that you want to happen. But Mr. Mime taken down as well. Ryu, very low in HP, has to do the X-Scissor up against Hoopa, and look at the backup coming in from Lance, but there is AXQ from behind, gets the knockout, and it's not looking good for Blacklist International, but look at that response coming in once again from the Serial Edge. Meteorite's gonna be falling down for the Miraidon of Blacklist International, and they're gonna be taking down a lot of members, but still, Rayquaza is still up here. Illuna back in action, they have to take him down if they want the opening. Hydro Typhoon set up to prolong the team fight once again, but that is gonna be the result. 2 members are still up for ONIC Rise, and they have to set the distance to secure Rayquaza.
Karina in the Rayquaza pit, down low, ready for Rayquaza. They're gonna steal it! Ooh.
They stole it immediately! And right now, ONIC Rise, they don't have that much buff yet. Only 3 members has it, but Cell is gonna be scoring the sure 100 here. And Blacklist International has to remove that shield immediately, and they have to score back immediately as fast as they can. It's only a little bit of a point, 17 points to be specific. 1 goal is enough. They just have to defend things down.
Yeah, and now ONIC Rise, what a play from Serena. That was crazy coming from Cell. That clutch really just enabled the ONIC Rise at this point. Then you also have the Hoopa on top of that. That will be,
They don't move.
that will be crazy good from themselves as well. And ONIC Rise with that amount of advantage, it's all about playing defense from here on forward. And look at Serena going down into the base, just playing tag right up against the opponent.
They don't know that they were behind. Tramp, Miraidon was just sitting at the base trying to defend it, wherein there could have been other members to go in for the defense. They don't know that they were behind a while ago because of the 100 points that ONIC Rise did. And there was just enough shield still for their team in order to secure the game, because it's a blind game unless you count every single goals that your opponents and your team made. And ONIC Rise, with the securing factor by this arena, made everything possible again for the 4th consecutive time for this day to do the reverse sweep.
Yeah, curly. Amazing stuff coming from ONIC Rise. That was really, really good on how they put that out overall. And ONIC Rise, I think Cell is really someone that just changed things up. Because the thing is, like, looking at the graph, right? The thing is, like, ONIC did not know that they were at a huge deficit. Or, well, rather, it was kind of that they were in a deficit when the Rayquaza fight was occurring. It was pretty much like an 80-point advantage for Blacklist International when it was occurring. And Cell